When looking at Asia and all those that have gone before to make our industry a success, look no further than Ben Karoonkornsakul. Ben is founder and CEO of Absolute Group. Absolute Group are renowned for having Absolute U studios across Thailand and Singapore, and also the Absolute Sanctuary in Thailand. She is one of the founding pioneers, one of the founding entrepreneurs in the entire of the Asia boutique fitness and wellness marketplace. She has created an empire, and we can all learn from her. So without further ado, an absolute pleasure to have a conversation with Ben. Ben, an absolute pleasure to have you here with me today. Thank you very much for joining us. 2020, as we have said to so many executives, what a year it's been, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's point the spotlight first at yourself. How have you coped through 2020, and what lessons has this year given you?
So I think, what we have done is just to be very alert in terms of what changed and what happened, which really happened every hour. This time you close, this time you open. Now you found a case in this one studio, and then what do we do? How do we communicate? So basically it's really alert and adapt, and really adjust. So from mindsets, to business offering, to everything. And I think we've been quite lucky that, we have certain platforms, certain infrastructures. And when that happened, we are able to adjust and adapt very fast. We were able to launch our online platform thanks to our Absolute Anytime, which we have had 200 videos for the yoga that's kind of ready in our stocks, so we kind of launched that. And then we decided to do a rhythm cycling, online and rent out the bike. And that kind of happened within, I believe, a week, which is very fast. And that because we also have in-house infrastructure in terms of videographer and things like that, and then so I think thanks to everyone, including our members who adapt so well, okay, let's learn online, let's adjust, just like what we adjust in terms of camera in here and there. So, I think, so I think it's been interesting, fun, challenging, of course, and difficult, but, I find it quite amusing in certain aspects that we all kind of do things so different.
Agree. We are all doing things we never thought we would do before, like recording these calls, for example, but this is where we are today. And again, thanks for everyone watching us. We're looking forward to in person a little bit more frequently in 2021. Ben, you've built a fantastic brand. You've been a pioneer for the last decade across Southeast Asia in both fitness and wellness, and we'll get on to different parts of your business later. What have been the keys to your success in building such a world-renowned brand?
I think, the key to success probably not different from what we all know. I think number one is that I'm very lucky to be doing what I am passionate about. So it's quite easy when you're passionate about things that you do, you like to do it. I always say, I will not launch any products that I don't do or I don't like to do. And I believe that I somehow represent 95% of my clientele, I guess women or maybe men too, but who love to look good, look fit and feel healthy, and also at the same time enjoy the community that we're in. So I think number one, to be passionate with what you do. Number two, obviously any business, you need a vision. So, people ask me sometimes, what's the next product? I say, I don't know yet. I don't feel it yet. And it's not like I'm going to launch a new product every 6 months. It doesn't make any sense to me. By the time you promote, by the time you build everything, it's 3-4 years. So I think you have to have a good vision of what you want to offer and what will last long. As we live in this environment where that things just change, so fast, every 6 months there's something new coming out. So I do follow the trend, but at the same time, don't follow the trend, if that makes sense. So I tend to pick and choose, because one thing that we do, we need to, develop it well. And that, I think, comes to another factor, which I think is so important with nowadays offering, which is everywhere, is to be really real, to be really true, and to be really authentic, and to be super experts in what you do. Because again, there's so many offering in the market. If you're really not good, people just shift tomorrow. They come and try one time, tomorrow they say bye. Because before they decide, I believe, to stick with you, they would have tried somewhere else as well. or maybe they stick with you for a year, someone else take them or offer them something, they go, and you hope that they'll come back. I think that's also, kind of what has been our key success, in the sense that we're very good at what we do. And we have been very good with what we do consistently. That's another important part, that, for any business to last for 18 years like we do, you're going to have that consistency in terms of your offering, which is not easy, especially when you're not selling robots. You're selling human class, you're selling not a machine even. You're selling a service daily. So I think that, is a standard that we need to really uphold and maintain. And that, I think, it's one thing that we've done very, very well. And I think another two key points that I think is super important in terms of running a successful and sustainable business is in terms of transparency, in terms of pricing, in terms of our policy, in terms of things to our members, because our members do come every day and sometimes stay the whole day with us. They see everything you do. They see everything you do today, tomorrow, next year, and a year before. So, they, and they're super, like they know better than me, even, like, hey, this one's not as good as before. Or the price, how come it's more expensive, it's cheaper. So you can't fool people. So I think it's very important to have this transparency in things that we do. And that probably come to the last part, where I believe that running any successful business requires integrity in doing a business, just like integrity in life, where I think in the end, your members, your community feel it. And that's an element of trust that you need to build eventually for you to have a members to stay with you for 18 years. That has to be there.
Like you said, then you've created products and offerings now for the past 18 years. You've chosen wisely the offerings that you've managed to pick out. And let's just take rhythm cycling, Pilates, yoga. You're now gold class. You're best in class at offering these to your members. Across this year, how have you seen the usage of these services change, if anything, between the members? What's got them more engaged? What have they relied most upon through this crisis?
I think, as maybe, I mean, you've known that, we started the yoga and then the Pilates and the rhythm cycling. So I think now the split, it's about 1/3. It used to be much more yoga, obviously, in the past. But, as we know, like the new things, people tend to get a little bit more excited. But I always say, like, it's not that people stop doing yoga. People still do yoga. We still have new people doing yoga. They just don't talk about it so much, or we don't see so much of the marketing and the PR, because people kind of know, like, okay, want to do yoga, let's go to Absolute and all that. So I think, the thing is, the split is almost 1/3. What we see, obviously, more coming up or more picking up spray on the rhythm cycling part, because I think, the demographic of this group, it's very large. It really goes down to 15 years old, where, you have the other day, my friend just like, she's like, oh my God, I went to a class. The whole class was my daughter's age, so you have a large span, which is really good. It really, obviously when you were just a yoga studio, the whole environment, the whole ambience is one thing, because the age group tend to be maybe a bit more like 25 up. But when you are involved or like, integrating like rhythm cycling and all that into Pilates and yoga, you see a much more younger, which is a great mix. To see when you come to the studio, you see some 73 years old and then another 15 years old, but they're in the same place. They're in the same area and they chat with their own interests and all that. So I think that's that. One thing that I think we see definitely pick up after this COVID is a personal class, personalized private class. So we see a lot of pickup definitely on the private Pilates, where people, kind of because of the fear at first, so they're like, okay, let's do private. And once they try the private, they realize, okay, it's actually worth the money they spend. Then they stick onto it. So I think that's what we see in terms of changes.
Agree. I think for personal training across all modalities, it's a huge growth market in 2021, and hopefully many operators now are really focusing on that. Let's maybe look at this PR explosion in rhythm cycling, Ben, because like you say, it's come from, very small beginnings in Asia to really being one of the key modalities in terms of fitness. You've had a great tie-up recently with Zouk in Singapore, Singapore's leading nightclub, to create a pop-up experience there for rhythm cycling. Can you share a bit more about that partnership and how it's getting on?
I think this one, I have to give the credit to the Singapore team. I think things just happen. I think, sometimes unexpected, because we have to relocate one of our studio, and there is a gap of a month. That's why we were looking for a pop-up studio, just so that our members can continue to enjoy, and as you know that in Singapore, we still can only operate into, like, I guess 1/3 or 25% even for the capacity that we have. So that's why we were looking for a pop-up. And, we basically brainstormed with so many ideas. You were in a convention hall just to do the cycling, given that you have to be 2 meters apart and things like that. And somehow we land with this idea of Zouk, and the team, we just chat with them because, what's better place to actually have the rhythm cycling in the club, because that's what we do anyway. We basically dance on a bike, and so I think that's how it came about. And I guess because the club's now still very restricted in terms of that opening, so I think it just kind of worked out as a great partnership and a win-win for both Zouk and also for Absolute Cycle.
I was actually at that pop-up studio, Ben, only about 2 weeks ago. It really was a fantastic experience. My whole team was there and really enjoyed it. So for anyone that can get down to the pop-up before it pops down, please do and try that. Looking also now at rhythm cycling, but more towards at-home connected fitness, Ben. You started a partnership with Stages Cycling, the first that we can actually see out with North America and Europe, where you're starting to put in equipment and content into the homes of members and consumers to use. Can you share a bit more insight into that partnership and how it's developing?
I think, this idea has been there, to be honest, for a few years back, since we, kind of launched rhythm cycling. And then obviously you see the trend and what's been successful in the US, and you thought, okay, that will be our next step. But I guess, like the next steps, kind of need a certain timing. And I think the COVID kind of forced it into like, okay, let's push that next steps faster. So, so we partner. I would say it wasn't an exclusive partner, but it was some, a partnership that we worked with, at that time, where, we work with the bike, kind of like get the bike and then do our content in terms of subscription, and then we kind of launch it together. So I think that has been very successful during the COVID period. And because of that, then we continue to kind of soft launch it. But I would say, like, there's still some development that we need to do in terms of like to be a proper product. Before we launch something, I like to make sure that we have a good products, and, and it takes time to develop. And that would be pretty much our focus for 2021. Where we wanted to make sure that we can fully launch this online home bike product, which we call it Absolute Cycle Home Edition, like official launch, not just because of the COVID period, but actually a real product.
Well, look, it's an exciting first step. It's something I think we're all wanting to see in Asia. We're waiting for someone to make the move. So congratulations for taking that move, Ben. I know it's not easy to be the first person to step forward, but you've been pioneering for a long time. So this is of no difference. Let's look at Absolute Sanctuary, because for those that don't know, of course, part of Absolute Group is the Sanctuary in Koh Samui, and it's one of the world's most renowned and respected health and wellness resorts. Tourism, of course, has been hit massively this year, even with government initiatives to try and stimulate some of the domestic tourism. We all make money from international tourism. How difficult a year has it been for the Sanctuary? How are you working with some of the domestic tourism markets, and how are you enhancing the experience of the Sanctuary for international tourism to come back and enjoy?
Yeah, I mean, I have to admit that that's probably the hardest hit for us. But, as I said before, we're not alone. Everyone in this tourism industry and airline industry probably like, on the same boat. I think we were a little bit lucky because we were planning to completely renovate. It's been 13 years and we're planning to renovate, our resort. So we just took that opportunity to close down for 6 months and fully renovate it. So, and we just kind of complete our renovation just now. At first we thought, okay, maybe December. This is when we were thinking in June. Okay, December, we should be able to open, things should be better and all that. But to be honest, as we are where we are, it doesn't look that way. So it is challenging, but interesting as well. We manage it quite okay. We closed down. Like I said, we manage our staff. we, to keep our staff half on, half off and all that, So I think, again, everyone adjusts. We adjust, the staff adjust, and thank to them too that they really understand the situation, and we're taking care of them the best we could. So I think, as you said, our majority of our guests are 95% overseas. They still email us every day, when can we come? I said, I don't know. I need to ask. I don't know who to ask, your country, my country government, who to ask. So I think, so now we just opened actually for a few weeks after the renovation. So it's fun. It's like you're building a brand new resort, despite the fact that it's been 13 years. The resort is new. The clientele is new. Now I have to build a whole new clientele, which is all domestic. Yes, we do have stimulus from the government, which has been quite helpful. But I think wellness tourism for Thai is still very new. They still don't have an understanding of what do I do. Is the food's going to be good and all that? Because the Thais, they love to travel overseas if they can. So I think, but we're lucky we have, like almost 20,000 base of our active member in Bangkok. That we can, they have the same interest into fitness and wellness and things that's our first target. So we have been doing quite aggressively and to promoting to them very good special package and all that. And then we bring a few instructors who are quite popular to do a retreat in the resort. So I think that's what we have been doing. And I think it's been working quite okay. Realistically, everyone in the hotel industry will just hope for break even. That's it. That you just pray for the break even each month. That's it, nothing more.
It's been an incredibly hard time. We obviously work with our venue partners and they've been extremely hard, as have many in this sector. Let's look at Thailand just for a minute, Ben, because there has been a huge surge in terms of the population now using fitness products, using fitness services, using gyms, getting more wellness aligned. What does the future hold for Thailand in 2021 and beyond with regards to fitness and wellness?
I think in terms of fitness, wellness, in terms of domestically, I think we're still doing okay. I think interest, obviously, after the COVID, everyone's just realized, like I said before, that we need to be healthy. There's no cure. If you're fit, you're healthy, you're fine. Even though you catch a COVID, you are likely going to die. So I think there's a huge awareness of that, which is great. But I think, another side of it that we need to look into a little bit more closely, and it's not such a positive factor, is that the economy itself, that I think, like everyone kind of have this impression in March that, okay, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months will be fine. But now we're in December, almost November, and then we're like, it doesn't look like it's going to be, opening up like things and all that. So I feel that the economy in 2021 will just going to get worse, because a certain business can hold on to for 6 months, 12 months. But if they look like another 12 months going to be kind of not great at all, no recovery and not sure, I'm sure there's a lot of business that really going to be rethinking on their strategy and what they're going to be doing. So, and that would impact the spending, and that scare people. Even though you have the money to spend, you might think, okay, I need to really, reserve that. So I think 2021 in terms of, like I said, it's still going to be quite tough. Tourism, I believe, is going to be tough for sure. Even though the vaccine's looking much, much more positive, but by the time, before it become a mainstream and things like that, I don't think we'll see such a good news until 2022. So I think next year we're just going to have to really bear with it and just do the best you could. Control your cost and just do your best.
Yeah, look, I think we have to echo that sentiment here in Singapore, and I know our friends across other parts of Asia are the same, Ben. It seems, even though we are coming out of this crisis much more healthier than other nations at the moment in time, we've been doing it at the cost of our economy. And I know that there's many economies in Asia at the moment that are hurting very, very badly. So although we are blessed in the fact that we've managed to get through this crisis with a lot fewer deaths than other countries, our economies perhaps are in no better state than theirs as well. Let's end on a positive note, Ben, as we should do, as we look into 2021. Like you said before, it's difficult for companies to try and plan their growth given, the uncertainty, given maybe the bank balance and cash reserves a little bit dwindle. But where do you see growth opportunities in 2021?
I think for Absolute itself, as I mentioned briefly, I think there's, as we all know, in any crisis, there's always opportunity that kind of came out. And it's true. I think it's just a matter of looking and then, trying to find what can we do. I think in terms of for us, what excited me most is that we have two, projects that we are launching next year. And one of that is just like I just mentioned, it's the Absolute Cycle Home Edition that we wanted to really fully launch. Another project, it's still a little bit confidential, but it will be something to do with a little bit more online and platform like that can leverage on the assets and or the or the strength that we have. So those are the two projects that we are planning to launch. In terms of studio expansion, I still think that there's still some room to grow, both in Singapore and in Thailand at the moment. In the past, not in the past, like last year we had planned to expand into a little bit more regional, but I guess that would have to wait and see. Maybe that will be more to 2022, 2023. But I think in terms of location for Bangkok itself and also for Singapore itself, while we already have presence, I think there's still some areas that we will grow in terms of physical studios. But what really excited me would be an online platform in different shape and form that we're trying to do. And and that's something that I'm going to be focused on mainly for the next 12 months.
Thanks, Ben. Well, look, we wish you and the team every success, of course, with Home Edition. I look forward to receiving updates on that. And of course, coming to the sanctuary soon, once the tourism is opened and the borders reopened. Yes. But for now, yes. Ben, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for keep on being inspiration for us all, and wishing you and the team every success in 2021.
All right. Thank you so much.
Members are a lot harder to find these days, and I think that we have to evolve as a brand to ensure that we are still the leader in the 24-hour game.
Fantastic, because members always like to see something new and new technology being integrated into the club.
We have 50,000 members throughout YMCA Victoria, over 32 health club facilities, averaging over 20,000 Vault 360 buy scans per month.
The data that we can collect is where the value is. How can we measure success based on people achieving their goals or not?
Technology, firstly, is just a massive plus. The fact that you've got, I look at any purchase in terms of value. It provides massive value to your business, and you're going to get your return on investment, no doubt about it. And this provides more value almost than any other asset that we've purchased in our time in business.
The trouble was there was no real mechanism back then to really measure body fatness. Finally, we found something that is extremely accurate. Now we can focus on what we've always wanted to focus on, and that is true body composition measurement rather than just weight.